Hi, welcome to another edition of the Alan Rosenberg Show. So, the Rolling Stones Hackney Diamonds 2024 tour in the United States is over. I want to give you my thoughts of the tour. I've obviously been following it. I saw it at MetLife. It all started last year, of course, with the release of Hackney Diamonds. Here's my three different versions. I've done videos on it. I thought Hackney Diamonds was an incredible accomplishment. Then they did the show at the Racket in New York City to publicize it, and then they put out another version with some live tracks on it, and I reviewed that. And of course, this is the standard CD version as well. So when they did the Hackney Diamonds tour, I had some misgivings, which I talked about, because they were playing stadiums again, and I was fearful that it was going to be the same old thing they've been doing for the last 19 years, really since A Bigger Bang, which is where they stopped focusing on the new release and just playing the classics over and over again in different order and shuffling out different classics. So I had my misgivings. I also had my misgivings how well are they going to sell? In the stadiums. Was it the right thing to do? I would have preferred an indoor arena tour. Didn't know if they were going to be able to sell it. And it took a while, which is the way it is today with the ticket pricing. But they, as far as I can see, they sold out every show. The two shows at MetLife were incredible. I mean, my God, every seat from the very top to everywhere was completely sold, and the crowd was really up. So it was a hugely successful tour. Let's go through it bit by bit. My opinions, of course. So Hackney Diamonds started April 28th in Houston and ended on July 21st. They did 20 shows. They had, of course, added a show. They did 20 shows, a total of 44 songs, and we're going to do an analysis of the song breakdown. Close to 1 million people. A tremendous success commercially the tour was. Now, tomorrow, I want to mention, by the way, is Mick Jagger's 81st birthday. So his birthday is July 26th. What they accomplished on this tour really is unknown territory. Nobody's ever done it, and it is miraculous. Mick Jagger, again, turning 81 tomorrow, so happy birthday, is beyond incredible. And I'm not just talking about the fact that he's in incredible shape. His waist is probably the same size it's always been. He's still running around the stage at the age of 81. I was exhausted just watching him. I don't know how the hell he does it. But the fact of the matter is his singing and his voice, the quality of his voice is beyond belief. In general, not just because he's 81. It's a miracle, and it's a testament to how he takes care of himself and his training and his vocalizing and all the rest. He is amazing, especially in today's world where nobody is really singing anymore and nobody's really playing anymore. They're all doing it to backing tracks. Even big rock bands are doing it now. The Stones are real, and to still go out there and do it real, it's an incredible accomplishment. So the fact that people like Springsteen and Aerosmith had to cancel parts of the tours due to health reasons, the Stones pulled it off. They're actually live. It is unbelievable, and the music world should really look at them to see how live music should be done. This is historical. Nobody's done it. And to do it at such a high level, commercially selling out the shows, artistically sounding so great. Again, I had my doubts, but boy, did they prove me wrong. Fantastic, unbelievable achievement. Let's get that out of the way. Now, the Rolling Stones are very much, in my opinion, a new band. Obviously, Charlie's passed away, and Steve Jordan filled in, and he really is the perfect drummer to fill in for Charlie Watts. No doubt about it. That's what even Charlie said, and they're correct. But it still is, if you're a longtime Stones fan, this is a very different sounding Rolling Stones. Historically, the band live always followed Keith. He's the lead guy musically. Charlie, always, because the band would follow Keith, there was always the slightly behind the beat. And then when Charlie does his hi-hat, which he's known for, not that it's a difficult thing, but the lifting of the hi-hat when he hits the snare, which is something that was kind of like his trademark, and Steve Jordan does it. That creates this microsecond delay as well. So the fact that the band follows Keith Charlie's always a little bit off because of the lifting of that hi-hat and hitting the snare. It always created this musical tension that makes the Stones so unique as a band on record as well, especially live. They have this push and pull. You could hear it really, on a million songs. Tumbling Dice is a really great example. This feeling where they could fall apart at any time, and sometimes they did. But that's a really unique quality about the Stones, which is why when the Stones songs are done by bar bands and cover bands, it just never has that feel, because traditional bands are set up differently. They don't follow the guitar, they follow the engine room, the drummer and the bass. And that's what's different now. So, plus, Keith would play a 5-string telly in open G, which totally changes the sound as well. Steve Jordan is doing what Charlie Watts does. You could see it. He's doing it. But the new rhythm section, Darryl Jones, is such a prominent bass player. You really hear the bass when he's playing it. And Steve Jordan is a very powerful drummer. And he's doing the songs in his own way. He even says, oftentimes, the way they were originally done, and Charlie stopped doing that decades ago. They are a really, really powerful engine room. And just like a typical rock band, and a very powerful rock band, the Stones definitely are, they're following the engine room. Especially Keith is older, especially at the beginning of the tour. He really seemed not to be 100% well at that point. And what you have is Keith and Ronnie largely, doing their magical guitar weaving. But they are when you see the Stones live, it's driven by that rhythm section of Darryl Jones and Steve Jordan. And it definitely creates a different sound. The weaving on their guitar is magical. I thought Keith got much stronger as the tour went on. Ronnie's played really, really well throughout the whole tour. They're playing super tight. The versions of the songs live are tremendous. They're a very, very tight band. It's magical, but it's different and it's new. It's a new Rolling Stones, and I'm not saying that's bad. I'm just saying it's different. But man, they were playing great live versions of a lot of the tracks. Be completely honest with you, watching this new Rolling Stones, there's no reason for them to stop as long as they could do it physically. And the touring's got to be grueling, even though the way they tour is, as big, as top class as you can get for sure. But it's still got to be grueling. So maybe down the line, maybe they'll do residencies. I'd love to see them at the Sphere now. It's still the most incredible venue I've ever seen. And the Stones sound really good live. I think they could possibly pull it off because the Sphere, the sound is impeccable. Let's talk about it. Again, I had major concerns with Keith, as most of us did, because when the tour started, he didn't look all that well, and frankly, he really wasn't playing all that great. And again, the band was largely led by the rhythm section, so Keith really, and he was only playing one song, remember, when the tour started, in Houston, he played one song, Little T&A, great track to do, but he was definitely low-key. And of course, as the tour progressed, he got stronger and stronger, then played 2 songs, and now towards the end of the tour, played 3 songs. What was that all about? I'm not exactly sure. Was it Jagger needed relief? Possibly. I don't know. Or was Keith extending his power as the co-founder and co-leader of the band? I don't know, but it was kind of, I thought a little unusual that he was playing 3 songs. With that said, it didn't change the band. They went from 18 songs originally to 19 songs to 20 songs at the end. So it didn't affect them losing largely another song. What are some of the other things that they did on the tour that was cool? They continued the fan vote, which is kind of fun, and you got some deeper tracks played. They played Monkey Man, She's a Rainbow. What else did they play? Wild Horses was originally a fan vote. It went over so well that they added it the second night, the show that I saw at MetLife. And I thought that was the best show of the whole tour. So I'm so glad that stayed. You Got Me Rockin', another fan vote. There was a bunch. They're all here. Those are kind of fun. It's a nice thing that they do that. Guests, it wasn't like those previous tours where they purposely had a guest on every tour. This was few and far between, but it was special when they did it. If you remember Jazz Fest in New Orleans, they brought out Irma Thomas. And they did Time Is on My Side. Of course, she did that song originally before the Stones, right around the same time. It's the first time the Stones did that since 1988. So that was a thrill seeing that. Dead Flowers, twice they brought out Lainey Wilson in Chicago. And what was that person? Tyler Childers, I think it was, in Orlando. So that was fun, but that was just an extra bonus. Certainly not necessary. As far as Hackney Diamonds go, well, they did touch a good percentage of the album as far as playing it live. Angry, of course, was played at every show. Sweet Sounds of Heaven sort of was played at every show, but at one point they did drop it, which I was very upset about. I didn't understand it. Didn't make any sense, because to me, it's a tremendous song to play live. I don't know if Jagger at that point maybe was under the weather, having trouble vocally. That would totally make sense if he couldn't handle it. But they did bring it back, so that was great. Other than Angry and Sweet Sounds of Heaven, they did Mess It Up and Whole Wide World, but those would flip-flop. So they would always do one of those. That was an interesting way to do it. When Keith added more songs, in fact, it was the show I was at, MetLife number 2, he played Tell Me Straight for the first time. That worked really well. The last show, they did Bite My Head Off for the one and only time. So, over the long course, they handled 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 Hackney Diamond songs, which sounds really good. The reality is they didn't play them all at every show. So you would still, see, maybe 3 or 4 Hackney Diamond songs, but that was okay. What else can we talk about? Let's talk about Chanel Haynes. She's got big shoes to fill. Obviously, I could see why she was Tina Turner in that show over in the UK, and I think the Stones' loyalty was great, because if you might remember, the Stones needed her to fill in on the previous tour, and she dropped the Tina Turner show to fill in for that Stone show. She got fired from the Tina Turner show. So the Stones hired her now for the full tour, and I thought that was really, really cool of them. She is a powerhouse, man. I understand why she played Tina Turner. With that said, I'm always honest, she certainly doesn't have anywhere near the range of like Lisa Fischer. And Gimme Shelter, which is always the highlight of the female vocalist that's with the Stones, I thought that the Gimme Shelter version on this tour was very forceful. She was into it. She was great to look at. She had good repartee with Jagger. But I never got the chills and that levitating feeling like I'm going to heaven, like when Lisa Fischer do it. And Lisa Fischer used to do it different ways, but she would trill and go higher and higher and higher, where Chanel Haynes was more just belting it out there with a lot of power. It was a very different version, and that's fine. You don't want to do it the same way every tour. But it certainly, for me, never reached anywhere near the heights of the previous versions. Let me talk about the sound. I made it clear. I saw the MetLife show, the second show, and I was way up at the top. But I will tell you that my sister saw me at MetLife, and she was much lower on the opposite side. And a really good friend of mine was all the way down, like in the low 100s at MetLife the previous night. All of us thought the sound was lousy. For me, the sound was absolutely atrocious. I thought I was listening to a bad 1972 vinyl bootleg. That's how bad it was. In fact, the highlights of the show for me, like Wild Horses, was because it was one of the few times the sound was crystal clear. I don't know what happened. I know that other people have talked about the sound from shows around the country. I've seen other shows. I've seen the Stones at MetLife on other occasions. This was by far the worst sound I've ever heard, and I thought it was unforgivable. Stones have been playing stadiums since 1975, and certainly in a really big way since 81, certainly Steel Wheels. Playing stadiums is no longer a unique thing for any band, and I've seen other bands in stadiums where the sound was great. This sound was atrocious. My friend saw them at L.A. He didn't think the sound was great either. But there are tons of videos that I've seen and watched where the sound is great. So clearly, it depends where you were location-wise. In fact, I made a lot of comments on the sound at MetLife, the show I was at. And one of the viewers said, I don't know what you're talking about. I was at that show and I recorded it, I think he said on mini disc. He was kind enough to send it to me, and I burned it. So this is my burning copy of one of the viewers who sent me a digital copy of the show I was at. And yeah, it sounds much, much better from where he was. Still not phenomenal. A lot of booming bass, and that's what I remember live. The bass was so damn overpowering that it muddled a lot of the sound. You hear it on some of that as well, but it's far better. So location, location, location. But you know what? When you're spending this kind of money, and I bought 5 damn tickets for this show, the sound should have been a lot better. My opinion. Let's talk about the set list. Now you can't see it, but I'm going to go through it a bit. This is the Ronnie Wood Setlist website, and you can see all the shows that they did on this tour. Hendrik Moller, who is a legendary Rolling Stones fan, legendary Rolling Stones expert, and he put this out on the internet, and I copied it, so I hope you're not mad, but it's out there. So this is the 44 songs that the Stones played live on this tour, right? Sounds so impressive when you say that. But if you're a statistics person, and I was a statistics person, it's not as much variety as it's insinuated. This is what we call loaded statistics. You got pretty much. Let's go through it. All right. So this whole column over here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, pretty much 12 songs played at every show. Sweet Sounds of Heaven got dropped for 3 of them. We don't know why. But the other ones above that were played at every single show. And the only one from Hackney Diamonds is Angry. That's it. All the other ones are your standard, typical, classic songs that supposedly have to be played by the Stones because the casual fans will be disappointed. And certainly if you're playing a stadium show, you got to mix it up with mostly classics. I get it. I'm not naive. Keith did bring out Little T&A at every show, and I thought that was a fantastic choice. I love that song. I don't play it all that much. I remember seeing it on the 81 tour, and it's a thrill. So that was great. Other than that, for me, this stuff is not all that exciting. I have seen the Stones a ton of times. I wanted something different. They did mix it up pretty well, and I was very lucky to show that I was out. But I just want to show you, because other than that, you got Mess It Up, and that was being transitioned with Whole Wide World. You were going to get one of those. That was really good. As far as the classics go, they're mixing up Midnight Rambler and Miss You. I thought that was a good way to do it. Midnight Rambler, I saw the debut performance on this tour as well at MetLife Stadium. I did not think it was the greatest version, but it didn't help where I was sitting. But I don't know. I think Midnight Rambler is one of the most important Stones songs there are. I've seen them do it live a ton of times. I just thought it was okay. It didn't have that magic that I used to see. And I'm not talking about back in the days when Mick used to lay on and take his belt off. I've seen that, It just was, and he added a blues, Come Into My Window, classic Robert Johnson blues track. I don't know. It didn't work as much for me. But I will tell you that Get Off of My Cloud was wonderful to have back in the set list. I thought that was tremendous. I loved when Keith added Tell Me Straight, another debut. In fact, the show I was at, the second MetLife, was, a lot of people will say, I will say, that the 2 most important shows of the tour, I was lucky to be at one, was the second show at MetLife. They debuted Bitch, Heartbreaker, one of my all-time favorite Stones tracks. That was a song vote. They played Wild Horses again, which was the fan vote the night before. It went over so well, they kept it in. They debuted Tell Me Straight for the first time. Keith now up to 2 songs. They debuted Midnight Rambler, which was really exciting, but just not the greatest version, in my humble opinion. A lot of people are going to say, what are you talking about? Again, I've seen them do Midnight Rambler countless times, and I think it's one of the most important Stones songs. Just my opinion. Where you really get interesting on the set list, in my opinion, is this column. And you see a lot of 1s, and you see a lot of 2s, and a lot of 3s, and a couple of 4s and 5s. And for me, I will tell you that my dream Stone show would just be that second column. I don't actually need to see virtually any of the stuff on this first column. It's been done to death. These are the highlights of the shows for me. I don't want to be negative. I'm just telling you, this is how I feel as a person who's seen the Stones tons of times. When I saw that show at New York, I'm going to tell you what happened. I was so pumped up. Even though I was at the top, the audience was great. We were dancing and singing the whole time. Started off with Start Me Up. We knew that. That was perfunctory. It was fine. Get Off of My Cloud was awesome. Bitch, great. The sound was lousy, but it was great. Angry, great. Heartbreaker, one of my favorites. I was so thrilled that they played for that. I voted that. Wild Horses, incredible. Tumbling Dice, really great. They always play that. Whole Wide World, great. And then Keith did Tell Me Straight, great. That was something new. Then they go into the War Horses, Sympathy, Honky Tonk, Midnight Rambler, Gimme Shelter, and I totally lost my momentum. It became, as a Stone superfan, it became me having a really good time, but no chills, nothing exceptional, and it wasn't just me. My whole family kind of felt like that. It was like, it's just, I've seen it to death, and it was fine, and it was entertainment, but for me, the Stones were always more than just really good entertainment. I felt completely different in the biggest part of the show, in the beginning of the show. And Sweet Sounds of Heaven, I also totally love. This, for me, and a lot of Stones fans, is the highlights of the show. So, yeah, we can say they played 44 songs, but it's a loaded statistic. You got very little chance of seeing that whole second column, unless you went to like every damn show or a lot of those shows. And those, for me, are the thrilling, thrilling moments. So, that's my honest opinion. I'm not coming down on them. I'm not naive. They're playing stadiums, big places. They're going to do this stuff. That's what they're going to do. But I think this was... I would like... If the Stones could continue, it's a new Rolling Stones. I've discussed that. As part of the new Rolling Stones, they don't need the money anymore. They're not going to set concert tour records anymore, not when Taylor Swift and the rest of these people are out there. They don't need the money. They could play Madison Square Garden and just play more interesting tracks. And you know what? If less people come, I'll be much happier because then maybe I'll be able to afford the tickets and see them. That would be my dream. I will tell you that seeing the Stones on this tour was fun. I'm so glad I went. I paid a lot of money because I bought 5 tickets to sit up in the sky. And the sound was awful. I'm glad I went. But after I went, I had no desire to see them a second time on this tour because I knew it was going to be this, and I'm not going to pay all that money to see 1 or 2 really great songs. I mean, they opened the tour playing Out of Time, and I really wanted to see that, and then they dropped that, which was a disappointment. So I'm not coming down on the Stones. I know why they do this. It makes total economic sense. For 90% of the fans, this is what they want to hear. But I am in that 10% where I've seen this a bazillion times, and I'm not going to get excited by analyzing how Keith played Jumpin' Jack Flash for the umpteenth time. Sorry. I want to see them do. I saw video footage. They did Fool to Cry. On one of the last shows, right? Whatever show it was at. They did Fool to Cry, and I saw... it was the second LA show, right? Is that where it was? Yeah, Fool to Cry was the second LA show. That was a really great set list as well. And I damn near cried watching the video. Somebody filmed it up close. The sound was absolute perfection, and I'm getting emotional. Fool to Cry was an incredible performance that gave me chills. I would much rather see that and some of the deeper cuts than ever hearing these other songs umpteen times. And since this is a new Stones beginning, hopefully, I think that they should continue in that vein. There are tons of other artists, Bob Dylan, Neil Young, Bruce Springsteen to a large extent, who just play deep tracks, and their fans go with it. And the Stones... It's a new beginning, a new amazing album. This, instead of playing stadiums, continue in that vein. Maybe they'll play the Sphere. Wouldn't that be great? But I want to see you play these great, deeper cuts that deeper fans and every fan should love to hear. So that's my honest opinion. I would love to know your thoughts. But again, it's an incredible accomplishment. I'm not trying to take that away. Nobody's ever done this. They're playing live. They're really on top of their game. They sound wonderful. And Mick Jagger, God bless you, man. Happy birthday, 81st birthday tomorrow. As always, thanks for watching. Thanks for appreciating or giving my opinion a chance. I do want to know what you think. I'm sure I'm going to get destroyed by a lot of people. But again, I am one of the world's biggest Rolling Stones fans. And I'm thrilled that they did this, and I'm thrilled that they did it at this level. But I would like to see a different direction with this new band if they continue live. Let me know your thoughts. As always, stay safe, stay healthy. Please hit subscribe if you're new to my channel. And I'll see you next time on the Alan Rosenberg Show.